here.
And most car parts imported into the U.S. will now be hit with a 25% tariff, and that will, of course, hurt Detroit's big three because even their cars have some foreign parts that will be subject to the import tax.
To talk about how this is going to impact you and your wallet if you're shopping for a new or maybe even a used car at some point, Dewey Steffen from Great Lakes Wealth, thank you so much for being here. Let's start with the cars. All right, the tariffs are here now on those. At what point do we see the prices jump if we're purchasing?
Well, good morning. Thanks for having me. It could be immediate, really, because there could be some pull through ahead, but we really think maybe the 60 to 90 day range is when you'll start to see it in the stickers at the dealerships.
Even if there's inventory backed in parking lots for months?
Well, sure. So that's hopefully going to be pulled ahead, and that will kind of go away. So those months, as you referenced, will then all of a sudden become no months. So as that kind of weans itself down, you will see them recalculate the prices, absolutely.
You know, also in talking to experts, when it comes to how the auto industry can prepare for this, I mean, they usually plan in 5-year increments, and now it seems to be week to week. We don't know what's going to be happening.
Well, planning is different than when you have tariffs coming out of nowhere, okay? Right. And then you have the tariffs pulled back. You have 90-day reprieve. So again, they do their planning, they do their modeling, but then again, you have to be subject to change. And so when there's supply chain issues and or parts, as in this tariff of the 25%, that also can shake things up.
But I guess my point, what I wanted to underscore is that when it comes to planning, there's a lot of talk about, well, we should produce these vehicles domestically, but you can't just bring a plant from the ground up overnight. This takes time.
No, sure. It could take years, and absolutely, it's not just autos. That's all the other companies that are importing. So yes, so that's a discussion maybe for another day, but it's a deep discussion that needs to be had for sure.
And there was a discussion about some rebates for the automakers, like 3.75%, I think it was. Does that really help?
Well, I think everything helps, absolutely. So you really have to kind of be, a shopper, make sure you can take advantage and look at all that's out there. But as it relates to the pricing, it's going to be kind of all over the board.
What would your advice be to a shopper who's like, should I buy now? Should I wait? Maybe it could get better. Maybe it could get worse.
Well, we would say in general, it's probably going to get worse. So maybe go ahead and do your looking now. And again, don't be a panicked shopper and not just, do your research. So it always starts with doing your research and understanding exactly if it's something that you need, or is it a want, or is it a wish. That's usually what we say. And if you need something, then certainly, take care of what you need to take care of. But otherwise, your wants and your wishes, just do your research and do appropriate
Getting away from autos, Temu, Amazon, especially Temu, though, even listing now what's sourced locally and where you should buy things. What's your advice when you're going to start shopping online? Where do we go now if we're trying to avoid some of these additional costs?
Well, I don't know if you're going to avoid the initial costs. I think it's just kind of recognizing what's out there, right? And we were talking just before this segment about de minimis exemption, and this is what happened.
This is your favorite word at this point.
Yeah, so on Friday it expired, and de minimis exemption was a little-known fact, but it was a big deal, that $800 and under of goods shipped into the United States, direct e-commerce, i.e. if you order something from Temu overseas under $800, it comes in without a tariff, and it comes in without even being examined at the ports. So that expired on Friday. So you're going to see probably immediately the prices of those items from Temu and other e-commerce spike somewhat dramatically.
We've often talked in the past about budgeting and planning. Is this one of those times where some of those skills could really come in handy, try to rein in some of that spending?
Or go out the window because you don't know what you're spending anymore?
Or go out the window, yeah.
Well, you need to stick to your budget, so recognize what's coming in first. What do you have coming in? Hopefully that's not being reduced, and maybe that's being increased with the tariffs. I'm not so sure. But understand where you're starting from, and then really you do need to stick to that budget and recognize what things cost. And if you need to put a 10% increase, that's the kind of the baseline tariff, 90-day exemption right now, or I should say the 90-day reprieve. But then after that, 25%. So if you really want to get into it, then you can certainly model out what those tariffs would do to your lifestyle. But again, just pay attention, and it's going to be moving and shaking the next 90 days.
Very fluid for sure. All right.
Dewey, thank you very much. Appreciate your time on this Sunday morning.